worthy of the people's trust. Let me be clear. This document is not a ceremonial one. It is a living and enforceable framework that outlines what is expected of every individual appointed under this administration. Though the document often uses the term minister, it applies broadly to deputy ministers as well, to presidential staffers, to chief executive officers and their deputies, to members of the Council of State, to board members, and other political appointees within the executive arm of government. And I include myself. It applies to my vice president, myself, the president, the chief of staff, the executive secretary, all advisors. All of us are bound by this code of conduct. This is a government of shared responsibility, and there will be no sacred cows. Why do we need a code of conduct? Because we must build a new political culture, one that is rooted in transparency, humility, and ethical leadership. Ghanaians deserve leaders who serve with honor and put the public interest ahead of their personal gain. This code is designed to guide our actions and decision-making and to make clear the consequences that will happen when we fall short. Now let me highlight a few key principles and provisions of the code. All political appointees must serve the public with integrity and impartiality, must place the national interest above their personal interest, must avoid misuse of office or state resources, must declare and manage any potential conflict of interest, must eschew opulence, be accountable for every cedi or public money you spend, and be humble in service, measured in language, and respectful to citizens at all times. You are not in office to wield power. You are here to serve the people of Ghana. The second is conflict of interest. Any situation that creates a conflict between your personal interest and your official duties must be avoided or disclosed. This includes holding stakes in companies that deal with government or with your ministries, using insider knowledge for your personal benefit, awarding contracts to entities that are connected to yourself or your close family. If you're a dormant partner in any business engaging with the government, even outside your ministry, you must disclose it in writing to this office. Not through a telephone call, not through a relative. You must submit an official declaration. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action. Number 3, interest of friends and family. Public perception matters. You must avoid making decisions that benefit your relatives or your close friends. You must not recommend them for contracts or appointments. If your actions give even the appearance of bias, you compromise the integrity of your office. Number 4, gifts and hampers. We all know our cultural fondness for gifts, but we must now draw a clear line between appreciation and influence. Appointees are prohibited from accepting gifts or favors, especially from companies or individuals with interest in governmental decisions. If a gift is received during an official engagement and its estimated value exceeds 20,000 Ghana cedis, it must be declared. And upon leaving office, the gift must be surrendered unless expressly permitted to retain it by the president. As for hampers and gift items, no government funds, including internally generated funds, are to be used to purchase or distribute hampers. The only exception is modest gifts to staff as a reward for excellence or retirement. For government entities that must distribute hampers or gifts as part of their corporate commercial policy, express permission for the budgeted expenditure must be received from the Office of the Chief of Staff. Ministerial travel. All official or unofficial travel outside Ghana must receive, and the word is prior approval, from the Chief of Staff's office. And after each official trip, a report must be submitted on the trip, and any impressed retired within 14 days after your return. Where government is footing the bill, the trip must be necessary, it must be budgeted for, and aligned with national priorities. Retroactive approvals will no longer be entertained. Prohibition on purchasing state assets. No political appointee under this administration is permitted to purchase state assets, whether land, vehicles, shares, or buildings, directly or indirectly. If you attempt to do so and you are found out, your appointment will be terminated. We are here to protect the national interest, not to help ourselves to the national purse. Sanctions for violation. The code sets out consequences for breach, public apology, from public apology to reprimand, to suspension, to resignation, or ultimately termination. Let me assure you that these sanctions are not cosmetic, they will be enforced. And I will not hesitate to act firmly and decisively, no matter who is involved. Kindly do not put me in a position where I have to make that drastic choice. Because when it comes to protecting the integrity of this government, I will not compromise. Citizen engagement and reporting. Accountability does not end at the walls of this room and in just one code of conduct. I invite the citizens of Ghana to play a role in monitoring compliance of this code. A portal will be created for the public to report suspected breaches with guarantees of confidentiality and impartial investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, what we launched today is more than a code. It is a declaration of intent. It is the foundation of a new ethos in public service, one that values ethics over expediency, duty over indulgence, country over self. We're here to serve and will serve with honor. On the 18th February 2025, I set a deadline of 31st March 2025 for all appointees who are taking office or being nominated at the time to declare their assets. An update provided by the Auditor General to my office indicates that some of you failed to meet that deadline. For all those who are appointed or nominated before 31st March 2025 and failed to meet the deadline, you are to forfeit 3 months of salary to be donated to the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, named after me, Mahama Cares. In addition to 1 month's salary that I've asked all appointees to donate to the Mahama Cares Trust Fund. So it means that those who omitted to declare assets by the date, you are paying 4 months' salary to Mahama Cares. However, if by close of day Wednesday, 7th May 2025, any of you still fails to declare your assets, count yourself automatically dismissed. The assets declaration regime is an important mechanism to check corruption and abuse of office, and it must be respected by all. My brothers and sisters, this is a very strict code, I must admit. But if we abide by this code, it will restore the faith of our people in our democracy. Strict compliance with this code will restore confidence in the political elite and help to consolidate our democracy. And so I expect all of you to do your best to abide by the code. Let us walk this path together with discipline, with humility, and with an unyielding commitment to the people of Ghana. Go ye forth and comply. I thank you, and may God bless us all.
That's the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, yesterday at the Jubilee House, or shall I say the Flagstaff House, announcing the code of conduct for his appointees. Let's take a look at the excerpt, Helen. You would have to guide us through that.
Most certainly.
What do we have? What are the key highlights?
This a little bit behind for me. Fantastic. These are Except, another word I have trouble
Relax.
pronouncing. Like, the other one.
Susceptibility.
Susceptible. Except from Mahama's Code of Conduct.
Let's get that out of the way first.
Except.
Yeah, and then
Susceptibility.
susceptible.
Susceptible.
Yeah, we'll
Alright.
do the Jamaican version of the show next week.
Let's get into the meat of the matter. Okay, so all political appointees must serve the Republic with integrity and impartiality, must place the national interest above their personal interest, must avoid misuse of public or state resources, must declare and manage any potential conflict of interest, must eschew opulence, be accountable for every city or public money you spend, and be humble in service, measured in language, and respectful to citizens at all
Measured in language.
times.
See, humility. You must be measured in your language.
Yes.
You must be humble.
Humble and respectful to all citizens.
No, but knowing the politics of this country, we cannot say because they are supposed to be measured in language and be humble. We throw any and everything at them.
Yeah.
I'm
Slap
sure
them anyhow.
Expect them to keep
Context,
quiet.
And expect the
context
person
will
to keep
always be
quiet.
key. Context will always
Ghana
be
politics,
key.
you know context.
Context will be key.
What you're saying is true, but if it's the hazard of the job, they should do it.
Crosby, so because you are CEO
that's not what I'm
of
saying.
MPA,
No, that's not what
Crosby,
I'm saying
so
that
somebody
what
with
you're saying is true.
a 50 pesos data will just go and write
I get
anything
it.
about you or call into a radio station and say
Very-
anything
very-
about
Charlie,
you.
you are even stretching it. Crosby, because you're a journalist, somebody look at you and say, you come on, journalist.
I get it.
You see that,
I
which
get
is
that.
something we face on a
We
daily
face it,
basis.
yeah.
But because it is what I do, I should be able to deal with it.
Are you come on?
I may not be like that.
No,
I don't,
I'm asking you now.
maybe I'm not a common person. This appointee who is in government, because of the position he occupies, it comes with the terrain. You should be willing and able to deal
No,
with that. Else,
Crosby.
I'm
You
not
see,
saying, since it's listening.
Crosby,
I'm
no,
not saying that.
I won't listen to you.
Make your
I'm saying that the fact that the man has been appointed Attorney General and Minister of Justice does not mean that you go on Facebook and go and write bare insults
Okay, I agree.
about the person.
I agree.
And you expect the person in the name of a certain phrasing in a code of conduct that says he has to be humble, he has to speak properly to the people, then he's supposed to just fold his arm. Come on.
Listen, we are finished saying what you're on. So I agree with what you're saying. It is true.
Thank you for agreeing.
You should not, because he's like that, because he's occupying that office, you should not go and attack him like that.
Yes.
However, because he's occupying that office and it is part of the job, it is a
is not
hazard.
part of the job.
Listen. It is a hazard of the office that he occupies now. He should be emotionally aware.
Who made it a hazard?
John, we know the context.
No. You see, we should not.
You see, and that's the context I'm
Because
trying to discourage.
If
No.
you say what
See,
you're saying, that
Crosby,
means that
Crosby,
it means
Crosby,
that if
we-
the-
we
Crosby,
if the minister
if
is
you
attacking-
disagree with a public officer.
Allow him. Allow him. Let
So
him die
based on
before
what
you
you're
bury him.
saying, if anybody is attacked in that sense, then the person should come guns blazing out, insult the person back. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Is that what you are trying to say?
What I am saying is,
Is that your suggestion?
what I am saying is, you will disagree with public officers.
Yes.
Some of them will come and speak nya.
I
Some
know.
of them will misconduct themselves.
Yes.
But even in that, in putting it to them as public officers, there is always a better way of
So
saying
you
it.
don't put it to them in a better way. What should be the response of the public officer?
But you see, Crosby.
That is my point.
I will
Crosby,
also deal with
Crosby. Crosby. You see, I don't think we should normalize and
We shouldn't.
institutionalize people
Insults.
taking others for granted.
That's true. We
I've
all
always
agree
come to the point that
100%.
we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Yes.
And me, if you come at me with force A, I'll come at you with force A. I don't.
You are not government official.
No. That's why I'm
You're
not
not-
serving in.
No.
You're not representing
In
the
fact,
government.
Yeah, but
it's
I'm-
even
but-
it, no.
but I'm
It,
saying
it's
that
actually even more in his case that he should be more emotionally aware. And the thing we keep talking about emotional intelligence, it is something that all public officials, in fact, all people in the service industry, going beyond public officials, people like cars, people in restaurants, people in everywhere that you interface with people, you should be emotionally
Charlie,
intelligent.
emotional intelligence doesn't mean taking rubbish from people.
No,
You
it
see,
doesn't
you
mean
see,
that.
look, on
And that's the point
a
I'm
normal
making.
scale, Dr. Dominic Ayine, for example, and he's the example in recent time. Look, he's the law lecturer's law lecturer.
Yes,
This
the
guy-
lawyer's lawyer.
A lawyer's lawyer. This look, his pedigree and his integrity, experience, everything, you can't beat
It's
it.
not in question, right?
So on the altar of politics, I doubt that on the normal day, A plus can walk into his chambers and knock
It
his
can't
door
happen,
and tell
no.
him that
That
you
is
stupid
not
fool,
possible.
old fool, I'll reset your.
Yeah.
He can't do that. But on the altar of politics, he thinks that, well, there's a certain followership. And so he must try and delight. Eventually, he has come to apologize. But to what end? You get the point.
So based on that,
So there are people that you cannot, on a normal basis, you cannot even stand and talk to them in that
even
manner.
when you're talking to them on phone, you can't even talk.
Look,
the way
people
you
come at us on social media. There was a case in point. I went to an event at a Coca-Cola event at the Polo Ground. Somebody who's been blah, 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 saw me say, "Oh, can I have a photo?" Then when I was leaving, I was so nice. I didn't even realize it was him. When I was leaving, he said, "Oh, I want to apologize." I said, "For what?" He said, "Oh, I'm the one who has been said." I said, "It's on to you." Then I left him.
So that's
You
the
get
point
the
I'm
point.
making.
I shouldn't have at that point said.
See how you reacted to
Right.
that, and then we've been to places where
And see
somebody
the
has.
basis of his reaction. He said he didn't even know it was the person.
Yeah.
That's
So
fair.
question is, would his reaction
So,
have been different
let's-
if he
let's
knew
use the
who the
Dr.
person
Ayene's-
was?
let's use the Dr. Ayene's case, for instance. When
If I
A-plus
had known,
came at
hold
him.
on, if I had known him, the photo wouldn't have happened.
You would have refused.
Which is well within your
No,
rights.
and I won't do that with a lot of drama. I'll just say no. I don't want to have a photo with you.
So,
and that's it.
sisters,
You
the
get
A
the point.
plus
I get the
coming
point.
at Dr. Ayene, the reaction of Dr. Ayene when the allegations were made, was it, in your opinion, was it befitting of him? As in, did it? Was it good? Was it good enough? That's what I'm asking.
No, it wasn't. And I think I already said, I made that comment on the show that given who the AG is and given the office he occupies,
Yes.
he could have handled it in a different and a better way. Indeed, in that same press conference, the AG had said that in the coming weeks, given what is before him, if anybody knows A plus, go and ask him to start answering questions before he comes for
See
him.
the response that he gave. That you said he could have handled it in a better. Imagine he had gone also attacking A plus because A plus has called him, pardon my language, a stupid fool. He had gone to also repeat similar words to A plus because you say that he should not sacrifice. What did you say? He should not sacrifice that office. You understand that what I'm trying to say? If,
So the
if
point
he
I'm
had
making,
done it like
Crosby,
that, I'm sure we're on the same page here because you are a government appointee, you are a government official, civil servant, public servant, whichever way you find yourself. Based on where you're working, what you are doing, you should have some levels of emotional intelligence to deal with these attacks when they come. You can't stop them. In the same way that you can't stop them, we should not encourage the attacks. But if the attacks come, the reaction is
I think
entirely
I'm more
up to you.
inclined to side with Crosby, having listened to all three gentlemen. Listen,
You
the
haven't finished
Constitution is supreme. We all have freedom of speech, right? But that doesn't also mean that the freedom of speech is without consequences.
Yeah,
We know
sure.
that if it comes to defamation and the like,
100%.
you can have some serious consequences.
Right.
However, I do think that officialdom need to have thick skin and thin ego.
It's part of the
Thick
thing.
skin and thin ego. What have I not heard? If I don't have a good
Let me
day
stop
on
you
air,
there.
bear
You
with me,
have the
please.
benefits of experiencing two different jurisdictions.
Fair.
In the UK politics, you have lived there, you have worked there.
Right.
They disagree openly. In fact, their disagreement is even more serious because somebody within your own caucus can disagree with you right on the floor of
Yes.
parliament.
Yes.
The person will rise to his feet and
Tell you-
disagree with you.
tell you his
Tell
mind.
it to your face.
But listen,
But
they find
even
a
in
clever,
that,
they find
exactly my
but
point.
you are saying no.
Exactly my
Your
point.
point was that this code of conduct should not be a falla for citizens to unleash on them.
Yes, I'm saying that.
That
the
is your
fact that,
point.
and that is why
Agreed.
I want to go
Yes.
back to the phrasing of the thing.
And so Crosby does
It
not
says that.
disagree with you, but he
I'm not
says in
disagreeing,
response to that, you as an MP or a minister or whatever, you
the
might
you should take
you-
whatever comes your way.
No. He says that,
That is
you
what he's
might
saying.
have to. He's saying
that's
that
what I'm saying.
it comes with the territory, so you have thick skin,
You
thin
see,
ego,
you see,
thick
you
skin,
see,
thin ego.
You see,
This is my
Helen, you see,
context.
Helen, there are people who already have the perception and the prejudice that once you get into public service or into the public space, you should take everything that comes to you. There are people who have that perception. If you refuse to take any and everything that comes to you, all right?
Then
there
you're
are-
arrogant.
There are those who will say yes. They'll start stereotyping and putting you in tags. Within the same space, can you ever dare walk up to Dr. Tony Edu because he is serving as a minister
Can you
to
imagine?
talk tosh to him?
Can you imagine?
No,
You dare not try.
can't do that.
Can you walk to Mr. Alex Segbefia because he's serving within the space, or Honorable Hannah Tete? You cannot do that. Flip the coin. Can you go to Mr. Kwajom Pienim to go and talk like that to him? Ejeko Bechebe Lamte.
Who are you?
Ekwabena Ejejepo. Can you do that?
That's not the point.
Because
These are people that even when
Because-
you are talking to them on the phone,
Because-
your
Yes, so-
comportment.
Your
we
Yes,
are
no,
we
hold on,
are
hold
on the
hold on.
same
I want to
page.
finish my
We are on
point.
the same page.
Because
No, Helen, we are not.
people,
are.
We are,
people,
actually.
no, relax.
We are
People-
actually.
because people.
What
We don't
what
disagree
Helen
with you.
were talking
Can I-
about-
We're saying
can I-
that
can I finish my
even
point?
if they can
The
go to
recipient of
the
the
recipients,
insult,
we're
no.
saying we say don't dare, but in the face that you are dead, how do you respond? Oh, what you're saying,
Exactly.
we agree with
I
you.
am-
You dare not
I
go
am-
to a
I
plane.
am-
We agree
I am-
perfectly.
And I'm
oh.
saying that. I'm saying that.
Uh-huh.
This concept of thin ego must not be misconstrued for accepting disrespect.
Fair.
Somebody like Engineer Kwabena Ejejepong, he's been working in his life as an engineer for God knows how long. He talks about when he got his own Mercedes, built his own house, and all of that. Like the account say, Wabone bra, before he came to join this thing called politics. It should not just then be like somebody just gets up because he's supposed to have a thin ego, comes to say everything and expect that the man is wood, he will not get angry. He will be angry.
A lot of the times, too,
Fine.
those people who are
He will
still
speaking
disagree
trash
with
on
you. Yes.
social media,
Yeah.
no, they are the ones when you see them in person.
Nothing you are saying, guys.
you weep
There's
for the
nothing. There's
person.
nothing you have said that we disagree with you. We are saying that in the face of that, because somebody will dare you, whether you like it or not. There are people who come
So we
and
are
tell
saying
me
that
there's
it's also a certain
balancing
discipline.
act. Yes,
I agree
whether
with
you like it or yes.
But it's
And
also
trust me,
a certain
there is a
discipline.
reason why you will not go to a Kwame Pianim to speak to him like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the precedence has shown the caliber, the response, even the way you respond will deter somebody for bringing tosh to you. If I come and you bring your own, then I know that, oh, this person, their ego is fragile. If I come, they'll come. If I come, but if the first time I come to you, if you go to the House of Commons in the UK, the way they even diss each other, they said what you said was less than smart.
Yeah.
Why
You see, that's a very intelligent way of insulting you.
That you're a fool.
Instead of saying you are a fool, you say
it's
less
still
than
an
smart.
insult.
If the person use grammar, insult you.
free. It's a very clever balancing act, this
So
political
compare
communication.
that statement to you say, oh, politician way or Jimmy Dodo. Just imagine.
Then
that.
your politician will say, oh, what a less than smart remark. Good morning to you. Next time, am I going to come?
Yeah,
am I
you
going to
understand.
enter the gutter with you? I'm not going to enter the gutter with you. It is a finesse. This political communication, a serious finesse. I don't by any means.
She has released another one.
Yeah,
Don't
I-
say finesse, say finesse.
Yes, a few days ago.
But I understand you,
when
gentlemen.
we're
though.
doing the papers, and then the acting gold board CEO,
Go and bend the sea.
Go and
Gwen
bend the
Bender,
seat.
see that comment, you were not too happy about.
Yes.
Why? Because he is Sami Jemfi,
Yes.
and because of the position he occupies. Although somebody may have angered him and all of that, it was not a proper comment to come from Sami Jemfi, in your opinion.
Even though
That's the
he
same
was
thing we're
very
talking
passionate about his position, that
Even though he may
this
be-
is the.
Now that you have
He may
used
be
my own
well in
example
his
against me, I
right to
concede.
say it.
No, but you see, I'm just saying that the point I'm making is that
Right.
our politics has deteriorated to the extent that we've lost all respect
It's true.
towards each other.
Yeah.
and for one another. We've lost all forms of tolerance. You think that whatever you write on social media or whatever you say is final. It's not challengeable. We've lost all sense of common decency. You see, and if we go on expecting public officials to keep accepting, we are throwing any and everything at them, and they have to, merely because they have availed themselves to serve us,
Right.
then we are affecting the younger ones even in a much more worse way.
But you see, sisters, there's also a trend I've seen that those who get in there and push back, they resent some of those negative comments and those comments that seek to belittle them and insult them and all of that.
It stops the future ones.
It stops all nonsense. Look, I'll give you a classic example. Somebody like the Honorable Sharia Iti, bless her soul, or the Honorable Jifar Tibo, or now in present day, the Honorable Abla Jifar Gomachi. How dare you? How dare you? You cannot try it. I mean, you cannot go and see an Honorable Patricia Piaget of the NPP and decide to.
No.
You can't. Like a Cecilia Dapa.
No.
You cannot do that. Because in the past, when you start to say, young man, straighten up, fly right, be there.
So now, even within the party, so internally in the parties, when they start all these internal intra-party elections, whether they're electing executives or flag bearers and all of those
I thought
things.
you were going to say
Thank you, Tom.
No, I beg you.
You say no, thank you.
You see the no, thank you to your thank you talk.
Thank you, but no, thank you.
You see all these young communicators and how hard they come at prominent figures within the, and we keep asking ourselves, what's the future for us young people in politics?
It's scary.
It's scary.
So you see,
It is, and unfortunately, we are the ones who have not lived life. We have not accomplished anything. Yet we are insulting people who are practically
The Professor Ahoy book, Working with the Ahoys.
working with the Ahoys.
There are instances like that on how President Mills suffered similar things.
you see, I think that most of those people who do that, they do that to lower the bar to fit their standard.
Come in the mud and let's fight.
Do you understand? Because if they
Which
want
is
to,
why I said he shouldn't have said, "Oh, in my village we did."
Because
you can't be fighting the man.
because if they seek to reach the bar that those people have reached, they will not.
Yeah.
So they want to lower the bar so they can be there. That's why the man says that where we come from is Waru. We don't fear mud being thrown at us.
I'll go with you.
Because we will walk through the mud
Push me. I'll go
to get
myself.
into the river. So no.
If you want to slap
It's
a tall person,
it's the eagle principle. The eagle on the ground will lose the fight. So the eagle will lift you,
And take you
carry
to
you
his
into the sky.
finish
So
you there.
he will change the battleground so that he will win the fight.
if you want to slap a tall person, hit his balls, he'll bend down.
El Lizato.
ABA.
Charlie, Helen, conflict of
Please,
interest.
let's do that. Conflict of interest. And we're still reading from Mahama's Code of Conduct for Public Officers, President Mahama. Now, any situation that creates a conflict between your personal interest and your office official duties must be avoided or disclosed. Now, this includes holding stakes in companies that deal with government or with your ministries, using insider knowledge for your personal benefit, awarding contracts to entities that are connected to yourself or your close family.
This is very sweet. Signals Bureau.
I'm looking at how all these rules bring us the quality and the results that we're looking for. Because now where Ghana is, we're looking for results. We're looking for how to turn things around. We're all talking about, fuel is coming down, exchange rate is looking pretty good, dollar is coming down, pound is coming down. People say don't give the government any credit, it's Trump's decisions that is bringing it down. I don't know if Trump lives in the UK as well, but that goodwill that comes along with it, you may not see the effect immediately because if I have gone to buy things at a certain rate in December or October last year, and I still have stock, and I've not depleted that stock, and then I see the currency going down, you would have to wait until maybe the third quarter or mid-second quarter to start reaping the benefits of that. Because until I finish my stock, I will have to go and I can't go and buy new stock to come and put in there for you to get at the new rates that's going on. So the effect will take time.
Right.
So people then will ask, so CD is coming, the dollar is coming down, about you know, if you are a public official and you hear some of these things, naturally you may get angry, and that's where your point comes in. How do you flatten your ego?
Yeah.
In the circumstance, this analogy, for example, that would say Petra performs in, but Dokunu is still this. At that point, that's where you need to flatten your ego to be able to respond to the issues. So for me, my key concern is how this fits into the bigger narrative of getting the people the results.
Conflict of interest.
Let me give you an example. You know the National Signals Bureau case. So this is somebody who is accused of, amongst the accusations, establishing a company also with a similar name to the National Signals Bureau. National Signals Bureau is NSB. His company's short form is also NSB. Now, instead of using the National Signals Bureau to collect the money from the Israeli company, the $7 million, he did that through his company. He allegedly did that through his company. So the money went into his company and not to the National Signals Bureau. So if we are able to stop this based on this code of conduct, it means what Mr. Dubois has been accused of doing with his dealings with the National Signals Bureau would not have happened. So this is how the country would have saved money, John.
Think about the SNIT issue as well,
Yes.
Brian Echampon. Having insider knowledge, that's part of the code of conduct. So that if you know maybe what the valuation is, you can peg your own
at a cheaper rate.
At a cheaper
which happens
Insider
in
trading is actually
which happens in most
offensive
cases.
everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
It happens in most cases where, you know, you may have somebody inside who tell Charlie, the thing everybody is bringing 25, 23, 25, 20. Charlie, bring yours to 20, let me give it to you. So when you bring yours is 20, obviously, when the board looks at it.
They would go with that.
20.
But maybe you are not even the best company to handle it. And we saw a lot of that in that in we've seen that because you have that connection, you go and present it. We relegate all others to the back, and maybe your company is not the
for
best.
Me, even this talks about sole sourcing as well,
Right.
where you go and handpick people, and you don't, because sole sourcing was a big campaign issue in 2016. Fast forward to 2017 to 2024, we saw how sole sourcing was abused. In fact, Nanado said that sole sourcing was going to be a thing of the past.
That's right.
He perfected it, as far as we know. It cannot be said of John Mahama and his team now in his second term, or if you like, his third term, so to speak, if you are calculating, to be engaged in sole sourcing, or to be seen to be engaged in sole sourcing, or to be encouraging sole sourcing of any sort.
Yeah.
People must earn what they are earning based on the quality they bring to the table, based on the experience and expertise that they carry. So it doesn't matter, where the person is from. If it's from the Volta regions, from the northern regions, from Greater Accra, is from Achim area, is from wherever, it doesn't matter. Is the person qualified to do the job? Right. And for me, that was the President Rawlings principle. President Rawlings didn't care where you came from. When I interviewed the Ahoy brothers and their sisters, they said, look, one of the criteria that President Rawlings used to have back in the day was that they mentioned 626's name. He says, okay, what does he do? What has he done before they mention your credentials, your achievements, all the things you've done? Then the next question is, can he do the job? If he can do the job, say, okay, give him the job. Then somebody will say, oh, but Helen is our person. Helen has been with us. Can she do the job? Say, oh, she's new. Say, no, then give it to 626. So that's how, of course, later in the day, they all were whipped into party line. But in the beginning, that's what the Ahoys, said that,
when
look,
politics was much more profitable to the nation.
He said, look, he would ask, can he do the job? If he can do the job, give him the job to do. We need to get back to that point in our body politics where it is not just about winner takes all, but it is about who can deliver the public good for the people. And I'm happy to be seeing people being reassigned, people being sacked, even within this short period.
They sacked somebody already?
Yeah, Naka boss, I think he's been sacked.
Yeah.
Then the gentleman
they reassign all of them.
the gentleman at Tor.
Yoko,
No, Naka
Tor.
boss is there. Is Tor to Yoko reassigned. Tor reassigned to ECG, right? You go and find
No,
a desk.
ministry.
Yes. And they just go and find a table and sit down nicely. And
No. They go advise.
yeah, but you
As
sit.
technical advice.
But you can't be standing to advise.
No. It be hands-on advisory.
You go hold the hand of the minister and
minister.
advise. Okay. But the minister.
Charlie, but conflict of interest is an important matter everywhere in the world. Whatever job, even in private organizations, when you are signing up for a lot of these multilateral companies, it is one of the issues that come up, and you have to sign disclosures and things that it is just to ensure that even if some recruitment would have to be, or outsourcing would have to be done, the ultimate interest is productivity of the organization. It's not about who you are related to, or who is your girlfriend, or who is your boyfriend, or sugar girl, or sugar boy. It is not about that. So, I mean, I'm happy to see that in the code that we are talking about. And in Ghana, conflict of interest is one of our biggest problems. In public office, all the examples
our society
is somebody wins election as member of parliament, immediately you get to the office now, immediately is the auntie and the uncle and
church
the nieces
member
who are managing the office of the member of parliament. You see, those are things we don't pay attention
They
to.
should be like Cecilia Dapa. You go and pick people who are not your relatives come and help you to work. You understand? It helps.
I understand. I agree with you.
It helps
I
because
agree with you.
because this family and friends thing, it's a very tricky area. There's also another school of thought that says that Helen is related to Sixtus, and then they're also related to Crosby. Helen is appointed CEO of some. You have the requisite qualification to be legal advisor to Helen or to the institution. If Helen brings you in, will she have committed conflict of interest even though you are qualified for the job, or should you not have a job because you are a relative?
I am asking.
No, I've asked my question.
So in response to your question,
Don't
I'm
ask
also
me a
asking.
question.
Was I the only one available for the job
Maybe you were the best one.
with the requisite qualification?
You were close enough.
Was there a competitive process opened for that recruitment, or Helen just say, "Oh, Charlie, come to my office"?
So there was a competitive process.
Or maybe I sat and I said, no, this job, my cousin, the whole world.
the whole.
He's the best guy. I know the guy.
If there was a competitive process,
Yes.
and in all of these recruitments, there's always a laid down procedure. So if there was a competitive process, I went through that process. I beat people. There's records to show that I beat people to get the job. Then what?
But what if I sit in my office and I say that no,
in
this my
the
cousin can do
discharge
it?
of my duties as legal advisor to Helen, am I looking for the loopholes to justify what Helen is doing? And these will always show in the memos that are served. Or I am actually advising Helen in the ultimate interest of the organization.
I
So
understand
the paper trail will show that as legal advisor, even though Helen is my sister, you are not my sister.
You're still going by the book.
I'm still going by. I'm advising her ethically, holding myself
question.
to all the
I
standards.
have a question though, Sixtus. Is it enough for me to say though that no, when I sit down and without any competitive process, I know in my heart of hearts that as for this, my cousin Sixtus, the whole world,
Because
nobody
you can do
when
the
it
work.
comes to accounting, nobody can
I
fit
thought you were
in.
even going to use trust issues. You know, these days, what we do in public offices, we say that, Charlie, I don't trust.
They will
these
come and
people.
Yes.
see my things.
So you
Come and
let me
look.
bring my person, so that so it's become like I can trust you. You are the only one I can trust. You see that thing?
That sounds as though we are operating in a country full of snakes. Everybody's
But that is what is
untrustworthy.
happening.
In Mr. Mohammed's the code of conduct we just read, there was the
Gifts
bit
and
about,
hampers.
just a minute about disclosing. So what I want to ask is disclosing it enough?
That what?
So if there's a potential conflict of interest, then I disclose to maybe the board. There's potential conflict of interest. Disclosing it, will it be enough, or there should be like a blanket stop?
Why should we even have a conflict of interest conversation?
No, sometimes it may arise. When you are dealing with technical expertise,
That's right.
it may arise. Those situations also exist. But you see, the reason you are made to disclose is so we can hold you to a certain measure to see, like I explained.
So when we disclose,
Whether-
it means the eyeballs are more focused.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you go to the Constitution, let me just add this one today. If you go to chapter 24 of the Constitution, we have the Code of Conduct for Public Officers. And Article 284 talks specifically about the conflict of interest issues. You get it? So these are even things that are already put in our
They
Constitution.
just have to fleshing it up.
You just have to, flesh it up, ensure that the rules are more measurable, and we can gauge. We can say that yes, if they say disclose or don't find yourself in a conflict of interest position, this is what it means. How do you avoid those conflicts of interest situations? And I'm sure that when we get the code itself as launched yesterday, we'll have all of those
Helen,
things.
gifts and hampers.
All right, let's talk about gifts and hampers.
Easter has come and gone, right? But
It's come
Homo
and
is
go.
coming.
Oh,
And then
so much
Mother's
more.
Day is coming.
Mother's Day. Oh,
We give hampers.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
yes.
we give hampers for everything.
everything is a celebration.
Mommy, Jifa, I brought this up to you.
Crosby, listen up. You have a
We
future.
give hampers.
Hey.
Abuachiri, we give
Abuachiri hamper.
Akwesidae, Kundum,
Guys.
Hogbachocho.
Why are you not mentioning
Guys.
Abiam's own?
Abiam
The
is Ojura.
Ojura, we give
Ojura,
hamper.
Ojura.
Let's talk about gifts and hampers and what President Mohammed's Code of Conduct for Public Officers has to say. Appointees are prohibited from accepting gifts or favors, especially, listen up, from companies or individuals with interest in governmental decisions. Now, if a gift is received during an official engagement and its estimated value exceeds 20,000 Ghana cedis, it must be declared.
Okay.
Now, the only exception is modest gifts to staff as a reward for excellence or retirement.
So let me ask you, if I
20 Ghana.
So I go and see
20,000.
Charlie. So I go and see Sixtus. We have an official engagement, and then I give Sixtus 15,000. It's not up to 20,000. So
If you give me 19.99,
yeah, you don't have to declare like
No.
that. Yeah, you understand. You can hold on.
Yes.
So I want to give you 500,000.
And
But
then-
I will meet you throughout the month. Every time when I'm coming, I'm giving you
Release is slow.
20,000,
You understand?
20,000.
So by the time we finish,
There's still much of the
But you see,
estimated
that
value.
is why we always say that.
No, I'll give
that is
you-
why we always say that in construing a lot of these things, I belong to that school
Why are you
that says
smiling?
that don't just limit yourself to the text of it.
Exactly.
There are other external clues that can help
Charlie,
you,
we beg you.
remove yourself
What we
from
are
certain
we
situations.
are ordinary people.
So
What we are
in the
reading.
case of vehicles, for instance, 20,000 cannot buy a car.
Oh,
But-
I told you.
You can't even buy
20,000.
Pragia.
Have you gone to Kokompe?
20,000.
Do you know
What car
Kokompe?
can 20,000 buy?
Do you know Kokompe?
Yeah, 20,000, please.
What kind of car? What kind of car?
Do you buy 20,000?
Do you know Kokompe?
Oh, this one is solution selling the car to you.
Do you know Kokompe?
The now one, the car be one seater.
Is it?
The car be one seater.
Even one seater can be more
Charlie,
expensive part.
Charlie, people they do things for these countries.
And I agree with
20,000.
I agree with Sixtus. In all of this, we also use common sense to add on to the
Yeah.
code of conduct, so that if, as a politician, you are collecting 50,000, 18,000, we have
we
seen
see
you.
that
We have seen
every
you.
month 20,000 comes from a
Or
certain
18,000.
account.
No, it doesn't
Every
come
month.
from one source.
Use the fuel coupons as well. It does not always come as money.
Uh-huh.
Pack plenty fuel coupons that come and give to
You
you.
think it's GTP clock?
You collect some before?
My capacity as a one.
Now, there's something interesting about ministerial travel, and it says.
No, but Helen, I'm sorry. Let me just
Sure.
add that the 20,000 we see there, it also conforms to international standards.
Please,
There's
let's
always
see
a-
the 20,000
a
again.
minimum. Yes, there's a minimum or a threshold beyond which you have to disclose.
Right.
Yes, and it applies. These are standardized codes across the
What
world.
is a modest gift?
What is what?
A modest gift.
Well,
It depends
on how rich you
on
are.
who is receiving it.
That's very true.
It depends
No,
on
but you cannot tell me that the Benz is a modest gift.
It depends on
Well,
who.
if-
No. It
if
depends
I am-
on who is receiving it.
You can't tell me that a
If I
V8
already have five
You can't tell me
Benzes,
that a V8
6 to.
Uh-huh.
If you come to my home, I have a Lambo. I have a name the cars, the expensive
Escalade.
ones. I have Escalade. I
I
have
don't
Rolls
like that. You
Royce.
have a Civic. What's
I
your
have,
problem?
I have Rolls Royce. I have all those things.
Ferrari.
Yeah, and then you come and give me some Mercedes Benz, not even a Maybach.
Come and give me Prado.
I'll look at you and this is a modest gift.
In
It
the
is?
context.
I'll
In
call
context.
Togo my gate man. I could Togo come. This your uncle is brought me this.
Even you say to that, some things you receive, you
Can
give
you have
them,
it? You
then
can
you
use it
have.
to buy their pet food. You understand? Use it as
Helen
your
just-
pet
Well,
food.
for me,
Helen-
nothing
Helen
is.
just said something.
Somebody
That-
like me, anything you give me has to be scrutinized because Charlie, we don't get.
Please, I'm looking for a modest gift.
Look, modest gift. Don't worry, I'll give you mine.
Those of us who
I'll
are
give you my
Efo
Civic,
Jakpasu,
okay?
good morning. We are looking for modest gifts.
I'll
this
gift you
morning.
my Civic, okay?
This one.
Nonsense.
It's actually 20,000.
So there's some wiggle room, right? There's some wiggle room for the president to also assess in the face of everything, whether
Right.
or not you've flouted or you've gone outside
Yes.
Right.
the confines
Yes.
of his
Yes.
code of
Let's,
conduct.
so
indeed, in
yesterday,
some of the
I like what
practices,
the chief of staff said yesterday. He said, "Look, don't ever think that the president is your friend." Blah blah blah. In fact, let's listen to him.
If I want to
Okay.
He
listen to
said
you, I say you chuka.
you visit his home. He said, "Oh, he said the
I like
president."
that. Oh.
Listen to him. Listen to him.
Excellency the President, senior government officials, honorable ministers, deputy ministers, and staffers. My work here is very simple, just to pave the way for His Excellency to launch the Code of Conduct. But before then, I just want to draw attention to one thing. An aspect of governance is like running a boarding school. There needs to be checks and balances, rules and regulations that tells you don't walk around during prep hours. The same thing applies to what we're doing here. And so I will encourage each and every one of you, once you get your copy, to study it just like your Bible. Because there shall never be any excuse for whatsoever when you cross the line. And Mr. President, with your indulgence, let me tell them a little story. Colleagues, the only time you will not be able to reach the president is when we are about removing you. I've heard some of you say, "Oh, he's my friend. I go to his house." Da, 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 da. Trust me, even if you meander your way to reach him through his driver, his ADC, the president will tell you, "As for this Julius, this issue came up, and I told him to wait. Look at what he's done. But he's written the letter already." So, my colleagues, please, I wish we are never going to have that bad experience for removing any one of you. But don't forget that if you play ignorance, it's never an excuse. On that note, I wish you all the best. Do your best. Let's make the president look good in the eyes of Ghanaians. Thank you.
Santino, Aji Bebia, Santino, Aji Bebia, Santino, Aji Bebia, Santino.
Say, you the 6-2. This matter came up. I told you. What? You lie.
Chief Chuka.
They have agreed on your head already.
It's a good
He has come
strategy.
to betray the president like that.
That how the
So now they
president-
know what they do.
That when the president does the thing, say, "Oh, Mr. President, we know you are part of this."
I think once you hear that, you know you're on your way out.
So if you call Mr.
The
President,
number cannot be busy in peace.
no.
call
The
now.
day you call and he doesn't answer, know that your letter is
Your
coming.
letter is-
All right.
ministerial travel.
Let's talk about ministerial travel. Now, all official or unofficial travel, listen up, keywords here, official and unofficial travel outside Ghana must receive prior approval from the Chief of Staff's office. Now, after each official trip, a report must be submitted on the trip, and any, impressed, retired, within 14 days after your return. That's the deadline. Where government is footing
It means
the
the
bill.
money that is left,
Okay.
the money that they give you, the remainder when you return,
retire
you have
it.
to come and retire. You have to come and give it back.
Within 14 days. Aha, okay. I'm with you.
You don't hold on to government money.
I beg you, help me understand then. So you are going to the holy city of Fulo on official trip. Then government say, we have fueled your car. We have fueled another car for you. We have serviced the car. We have put spare tire and spare everything in your boot. But in addition, we have given you 10,000 cedis. When you get there, eat from one of the TZ restaurants. Okay. That is
Is
your
it a
gain.
restaurant or a chop bar?
Chop bar.
Yeah.
You the call them chop bar.
No,
we
you
call
have to
them
be called to
restaurant.
the bar. You know, it's more dignified to be called to the bar. Oh.
So you go to the village, commission the project, do everything finished. By the time you get back to Accra, you have like 5,000 left in your pocket. You for return them.
Yes, please.
You have to retire it.
Retire.
Actually, you retire. It's
you
not
have
your
to go
money.
back.
Yeah, in 14 days actually.
Because you'll be keeping a tally, a report will be given. So we'll know you spend this on
That's
tools,
right.
that fee.
That's right.
Unless you want to, let me not give anybody any ideas. Okay.
Prosper Lochu, good morning.
You think
to
you are the one giving the ideas?
Be like, I'm late then. Now, where government is footing the bill, the trip must be necessary. It must be budgeted for and aligned with national priorities. Retroactive approvals will no longer be entertained. So where you have taken the initiative to go and then later on seek approval after you've already gone, that is no longer going to be entertained whatsoever. This one is about prohibition on purchasing of state assets. Honorable Gujozo Blakwa added forests. Let's see whether the official writing includes that.
Right.
Now, no political appointee under this administration is permitted to purchase state assets. President goes on to say whether land, vehicles, shares, buildings, directly or indirectly. If you attempt to do so and you are found out, your appointment will be terminated.
Indirectly is where you get your relatives or your whatever it is, acquaintances to come and acquire them. Okay. We shall wait for what it is worth. Sanctions for violation. This is the last one, yeah?
All right, let's get into that.
So if you decide to ignore all the things we have said as a public official or as an appointee, what happens to you?
Well, the code sets out consequences for breach, from public apology to reprimand to suspension to resignation or ultimately termination. So there are levels to it as far as the sanctions are concerned. So apology, reprimand, suspension, resignation, ultimately termination.
All of this can be together as one. One person can.
I'm sure you apologize, you be reprimanded, you'll be on suspension whilst we investigate, you resign, and ultimately goodbye. Citizen engagement and reporting. A portal will be created for the public to report suspected breaches with guarantees of confidentiality and impartial investigation. So you and I can also be a part of the process, and anything you see, if you see something, you say something.
Okay. If you see something, you say something, is it not? Well, let's go to the Ghana Integrity Initiative, talk to Madam Mariada. She joins us now. Good morning, Madam. Thank you very much for your time. Hello, good morning. Thank you for your time. Hello, Mariada. Good morning. Thank you for your time. We can't seem to find her on the phone line. Let's try and trace her back on the line. Hello, Prof.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Very well. Good to have you, Prof. And we're just looking at the code of conduct that was announced yesterday by the presidency. Does it in any way, for you, from where you sit as a governance expert, inspire good governance?
Yes. I would say confidently that I was expecting all the other political parties to applaud the president this morning for what he has done. This is unprecedented. And this is good governance because the code is new to the political playing field. And it is a great start because it's going to give us a freer future economically.
Now, the president also went ahead to mention that the appointees should not get a heart attack when they receive their copies because most of them were yet to receive their own copies. But within the period, given the pressure on the job that they have to perform and also the expectation of the public, would they have time to really go through this code of conduct to stick by it word for word?
Well, every country has a constitution. And without a constitution, there's no country. The same way as every organization also have policies and procedures that you have to follow. You sign to it before even you are hired. And I think moving forward, all appointees will sign to this. They will read and sign. The same way as when we are doing matriculation, the rules and regulations of the universities, you read them, and as we swear you into the university, you sign. That means once you append your signature, it means everything in there binds on you. So it is not about being busy or not. This is the guidance of the job that you've been appointed to do. And you have to go by the dictates of those guidance.
Hold on, Prof, for me. Let me connect with Madam Mariada of Ghana Integrity Initiative. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Great.
Good morning to Prof.
Great. Let's begin and ask you if this really, for you, stems up and stops the corruption and brings back the integrity conversation right to the front burner. Does this code of conduct do that for you?
Not necessarily, but it is a good marker that we want to follow due process. And I say not necessarily because a code of conduct should be one of the administrative things that every institution should have to regulate behavior of its staff. And it's not novel because this same president had one in the past for his time. All agencies of state are supposed to have codes of conduct for their staff. But it has become a point of discussion, a point of reference today because we do not see much action paid when it comes to the issues around the conduct of public officers. So the president, in doing this, we actually commend him for taking the step in ensuring that he wants compliance and compliant behavior as per best practice across the globe when it comes to public service, and also per the dictates of the Constitution and the current act when it comes to the issues around assets and also liability. All these things that they speak about are also captured in this. But this goes a step further to pronounce some very clear sanctions, which I believe is in the right direction. However, the onus now lies on those who are supposed to monitor, including us, to ensure that what is being put there is what is happening across the various institutions when it comes to the compliance of the appointees of the president.
Great. Prof. Entry, let me come to you now and ask. The president also yesterday indicated that some of his appointees had defied his orders to declare the assets by the 31st of March 2025. He applied some sanctions, that is forfeiture of salaries, and that those who delay further and do not do that by tomorrow would count themselves dismissed. For you, first of all, tell me that the boss gives an order and some appointees decide that we won't follow the order. Is that a good sign, sir?
That is not a good sign. I think the president, the deadline that he gave, if you look at the media landscape, it seems, and I'm using that word with care, that some of them, we heard about 55 defaulted in declaring their assets. And they might have got their reasons for doing so, because the declaration of the asset, you have to go through filling a form and then attaching documents to support your claim of the assets you have and then the liabilities you also have. You need, if it's a land, you need indentures, copies of that. If it is a copyright that you have, you need copies. So it might mean that you might have to go back to your village or other place that you come from. You might not come from Accra to get some of these documents with you. So it takes some time. And I'm glad that the president did not punish all of them, but in a lump sum, but decided that there's a deadline of tomorrow by the close of the day. You have everything to do to make sure that you do that. And then there's a sanction that you will lose 3 months of a salary.
That's
and
right.
An additional 1 month for Mahama Care.
That's right.
So that punishment is deterrent enough to warn you, because I think in leadership sometimes you need to warn the people. And I've seen what he's trying to do, that there will be sanctions for not going to the dictates of the code of conduct.
Right.
Let me state emphatically that a constitution is also a code of conduct for citizens everywhere in the world. But because Madam came in, let me talk a little bit about integrity.
Great.
Integrity and responsibility is restored in this code as a moral compass. So when we act with integrity, we harmonize our behavior to conform to universal human principles. And we act in line with our principles and beliefs. So if we lack integrity, by definition, we lack moral intelligence.
Ms. Ada, let me come to you and then ask you. So, issues about gifts and hampers, issues about official and non-official travels, issues about conflict of interest are all captured there in the code of conduct. But these are things that we have lived with over and over the years. Some would ask, will it be easy to wipe them all off with just some booklet called Code of Conduct?
Certainly not. But it is one of the things we need to begin to also think and reflect over. And not just that, it's also about the issue around appointments, nepotism, cronyism, and others. That is also embedded within this code of conduct, which we need to pay attention to. Certainly, it is not enough to just put this in a document and expect that people would comply. It goes beyond that, and I am of the opinion that the president is also aware of this. If we are to take the non-compliance of some of the officials who have been appointed to public office as a measure or an indicator, then it means that we need to go a step further to ensure that we have a robust regime that can sanction and also take people on to ensure that they comply. Without that, we would have issues. And in that regard, I would want to say that one of the things that we have called for in the past, which we believe still remains very relevant, is the fact that the president, as a matter of urgency, must ensure that the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which didn't get passed in the last parliament. In fact, it didn't go to parliament. It remained at the cabinet. But I remember that the 2017 parliament nearly passed it. However, it got truncated at the last minute. So since the first tenure of this current president was the time this was put together, I believe that discussion must be held now. And then the issues that made it not to be passed, including asset publication, asset verification, and the issues around different thresholds and sanctions must be re-engaged. And conflict of interest, let me say that as it is now, the president has put in the code that people need to declare within a certain threshold. The president has placed that. But then the problem is conflict of interest is not criminalized by our laws as we speak. And so for the president to do this, how far-reaching will this be? We need the conflict of interest regime criminalized so that when people contravene, you can take them on and say, we are going to court for this and this offense because this person contravened the conflict, the issues around conflict. So for me, it goes beyond just a code of conduct. A code of conduct is administrative. It is also to guide moral conduct, but it's not legalistic.
I see. Professor Entry, let me come to you now and ask about the next generation. We are now dealing with the current generation, the ones ahead. But then the next generation, should we consider imbibing these things in the minds of the younger generation in their schools, inculcating it into their curriculum so it forms part of them, such that they know that politics and governance is not about amassing wealth for yourself, but also serving your country?
Yes, we have to. I published a book, Grassroots Democracy, last year, which talks about some of these things. And it's interesting to know that Madam Mada's position, I interviewed for her 2 years ago. So, because my PhD was in corruption, and I work with the Transparency International, so I definitely understand what the GII is doing in Ghana. The youth of today, most of them have lost their identity. And academia in itself is a discipline. So you cannot be an indisciplined person and then go through a course and then pass. So we have to catch them young and then imbibe in them these tenets of good behaviors and ethics, integrity, moral compass, because those are very important. I have to put on record that morality is higher on the pegs than the law. And most people are not aware of that. We have some places in the advanced world where small towns that the police walk around, lazing around because they can't apprehend anybody, because everybody is obeying the law. Everybody goes by the details of the law. Then they don't have to put anybody in jail. But when you go beyond the bar or below the bar of the law, then you go to jail. The youth of today, because we don't have any values that we espouse as a people, they are not learning values from the older generation. Let me put it that way. Let me give 2 examples. If you have a Boache, which is a nice culture, and the president talk about culture, and we go to the bush to get a deer. In the advanced world, deers are walking free
right,
at
on
your
the
compound.
streets.
So that is not a big deal. But here we have to go to the bush to catch a deer. And once we catch a deer, it means we are going to have bounty harvest that year. What are the values that we are teaching the youth? So the youth are not seeing some values in our tradition. If you are a king and you have to sit in the palanquin and the youth will have to walk barefooted and carry you on their shoulders, what is the value that you are teaching them? So we need to go back to the roots of our culture. I come from a royal family,
Right.
and I can visit my uncle and he would tell me that Kwame came here, but he didn't come here. And I asked him why. He said, you don't come to the king empty-handed. You have to come with something.
Right.
So we have a culture of gift giving, which means that you don't go to the chiefs and the elders empty-handed. You give a gift. But gift giving should not become gift demanding. So if you look at our public service, we have gift demanding. Every public service, everybody organized for you, you have to give them something. And they demand it. If you don't give it freely, they demand it, which shouldn't be the case.
Right.
So the UK have made a law, what they call they have the gift taxes that you have to pay. So if you are giving a gift, you pay taxes.
We have similar laws here as well, gift tax laws.
Yes. We have some countries that when you are giving a gift more than $100, you declare it to your supervisor. Even in US, if you are a president and you are giving a gift that costs more than $1,400,
Right.
you have to pay the additional money to own it. They did it to Obama. So Obama went to Argentina with his family. Lionel Messi signed his shirt, Argentina shirt, and gave it to him, but it cost more than the $1,400. So Obama decided to donate that money into the presidential, the presidential museum.
Right.
But if you look at George Bush, he was given a shotgun, he liked it, and he paid the additional money of the cost of that gun
Right.
to have it. So I'm glad the president is saying that it binds on the president, the vice president, and all appointees. And that means he's modeling the way.
Right.
He's also making all Ghanaians whistleblowers, because he's saying that there's a portal that you can go and report. So we have to watch the gift giver and then the gift receiver, making sure that they are all held accountable.
Great. Professor Enoch Owusu-Ntwi, thank you very much indeed for your time.
The name is Opoku Ntwi, Enoch Opoku Ntwi.
Opoku Ntwi, apologies for that, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and spending your morning with us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Great. Mary, you have the closing thoughts. Now, you look at gift giving and they say the estimated value of whatever gifts or hamper is received should not be more than 20,000, should be declared. So if I come to Mary and we have a conversation and I give her 19,000, it means that you are well within the threshold not to necessarily declare. And does that sound right to you?
For me, no. And I say so based on incomes and also on the living standards of the people. A majority of the citizens of this country do not receive 5,000 a month. And that's people in high status and maybe the middle class, let me say. Not many people get 5,000 to take home in a month. The teachers, the nurses, some of us who are in civil society, we don't get that much. And so putting a threshold of 20,000 as a benchmark for disclosure, for me, I believe it's too high. We should perhaps go to 10,000. And maybe the ministers would get gifts, or perhaps we are saying that what gifts they receive should be high to be able to influence them. But then let us also look at what happens within other jurisdictions. In some institutions, it's $200. And so can't we do that? Perhaps at the most 10,000, because you never know. The person who is giving you that 20,000 may not have it. He's also got somewhere to look for it. So for me, it's not here and there to put it at 20,000. That's high for our state, the state within which we operate. And so we need to revisit that. But just as it is, the president has decided, and I believe that we need to revisit that discussion, because that's a very high. And just like you said, if I give you 19,900, it means you are within the threshold, right. So you do not have to declare. What about the gift tax? What about other components of it that we need to interrogate? So we need to. It's a good thing that this is happening, but we need to interrogate this further.
Thank you.
And also then put it into the conduct of public officers.
Thank you very much, Madam Mary Ada, Executive Director of Ghana Integrity Initiative. We're grateful that you spent your morning with us.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for having me.
Grateful. And it's some 29 minutes after 9 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Whatever you do, Ellen, God is see you. God is see you. I see you. God will see you.